I know I don't agree with this list. Not at number 5.
No. That's way too low.
Yes.
Way too low.
Look, Chase Young winning the Heisman, it's not going to happen.
Oh, come on.
Look, he's going to be in the Final Four. He's going to be invited to New York, but it's not going to happen. Let's just all recognize what's happening. One, there are warts on the quarterbacks that were Heisman hopefuls. 2 are missing some games, right? Jalen Hurts, there's no Heisman moments in losing the game. And now we're starting to see let's go fall down to a defensive end who is playing amazing, who was hyped up coming into the season and exceeding those expectations. But let's just be real about this situation. He's going to get beat by someone who's going to have that signature moment. And Desmond Howard's pose as a defensive end and Woodson's sideline catch as a defender, all of that gives you that moment.
Yeah.
Will he get that moment?
Maybe.
No. You know why he won't get that moment? Because there's going to be a game next week coming off of a bye for 2 teams, Alabama versus LSU. And Joe Burrow, who's on pace to have 50 touchdowns this year, is going to have all of America watching that game. Meanwhile, Chase Young will probably go get 3 sacks against Maryland at the same time. And that's going to be the problem. No signature moments on top of that amazing production.
See, I would actually disagree because I think that the moment might actually happen too soon for LSU and Alabama. Let me discuss this. I think there are 3 reasons, guys, why I think Chase can and maybe will win the Heisman Trophy. I think he's much more in the vein of Charles Woodson than he is in the vein of Ndamukong Suh and Manti Te'o, 2 primarily defensive players that were finalists for the Heisman Trophy since Woodson won his Heisman Trophy. First and foremost, these guys, he's the best player on the best team right now, okay, right now. And if that continues, then we're going to see
He plays for Alabama.
I'm sorry?
He plays for Alabama?
No. Chase Young is the best player right now on the best team.
Oh,
yes.
but that's not the best team.
And I think they're the best team. In a lot of people's estimation, they're the best team, and they're going to have a chance to. By the way, don't give me Alabama's the best team. Don't get me started on this. Their opponent's winning percentage is .391. That's the worst in Power 5. I digress. The Ohio State Buckeyes, though, are real, all right? They're dominant in every fashion. So he's a great player on a great team. Then let's go to the team. It's not a pop-up like Notre Dame was with Manti Te'o. Did you know in the 5 previous seasons to their national championship game run, in the 5 previous seasons, Notre Dame was unranked for the entire season 3 times. And in the other 2 seasons, the highest they ever got were 16 and 18. So that national championship run was just a pop-up. And Ndamukong Suh played for a non-factor Nebraska team that was just 10-4 and did not compete at the highest levels of college football until they were in the Big 12 title game against Texas and Colt McCoy. So now you've got Ohio State much more like Michigan was with Charles Woodson that was right there in the thick of things as it relates to a national championship hunt. And then here's the last thing, and Marcellus, this is where I would disagree with your assertion about stages. If you actually look at the schedule and you look at what Chase Young has ahead of him, the last 3 weeks of the season, he could potentially be playing an undefeated against undefeated Penn State team at home. That could be a massive 2 versus 4 type of game that would get 11, 12, 13 million viewers. It'll be the top-rated game of the day by far.
And we have that game.
We have that game. I'll be there with Gus. The very next week, Gus and I are going to travel to the Big House to do guess what game? Michigan and Ohio State. That is the top-rated regular season game in college football every single year. Then the next week, he could have a Big Ten championship game, likely in a rematch against Wisconsin or maybe even Minnesota. That is usually one of the highest-rated games of the year and of the day. So in 3 straight weeks, right before the ballots are cast, Jason, this guy could have the biggest stages. He does anything. It gives you that moment. It's a strip sack. It's a sack. It's him standing over flexing. He's got that Heisman. He's got a chance now. I think this guy could actually win the Heisman Trophy.
All I'll say is those moments don't let you catch up and close the gap on a quarterback. That's the problem. If Joe Burrow goes out there and balls out against Alabama and upsets Alabama, that lead will be insurmountable.
But Kyler needed Tua to get hurt last year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that happens everywhere. Charles Woodson needed Peyton Manning to lose against Florida, right? You know, and so maybe he needs some help.
Let me tell you why he's wrong. And Marcellus, you'll love this because you're a track guy. And see, what you're caught up in is the preliminary races. We haven't gotten to the main 100-yard dash. And that's what Joel is talking about. The Heisman race, to me, really started last week. There's been a lot of talk, Joe Burrow and all these other guys, but the votes haven't been cast, and there's enough attention being focused. And here's the only thing Joel left out, because I love his point. I wasn't even thinking about Penn State. I was just mostly thinking about Michigan and that stage. But the number one reason why he's going to win is because we know exactly how good he is because of the Bosa brothers.
Interesting.
We're not
really
going to be speculating about how good he is. Like, we're going to be saying, no, he's as good, if not better, than the Bosas, and that's going to elevate him even further.
That elevates you in story, but then you start to slight the production, and this is just how people will interpret it. They will almost say, what system is going on out there in terms of that production? We know he's a phenom. 6'5", 265, and the bend that he has. I'm not saying
How they going to blame it on system when the Bosas have gone to the NFL and done the exact same thing?
And we respect that. But at the same time, we're also going to say these numbers can get inflated when you're at Ohio State. The projections are out the door when you're talking about a Heisman vote. We're not talking about what he's going to become. We're talking about what he is. And anyone who plays DN of late at Ohio State is putting up
No,
numbers.
they're not.
Not
13 and a half at this point. This guy's going to finish with 20 sacks and probably 25 tackles for loss.
Or more.
That's incredible.
And that's going to surpass a quarterback that has 50 touchdowns?
Well, maybe.
That beat Alabama?
Listen, maybe.
I'm just asking.
I'll give you this. If Joe Burrow continues to play great and they beat Alabama on the road and he wins the SEC championship game, there's a good chance it's going to be Joe Burrow's.
Yeah.
I get that. I totally understand that. But as is the case every year, stuff happens. If Bama beats LSU, Chase is going to be right there. I just think that this is more real than a Sue or a Manti Te'o type of run towards a Heisman Trophy. This is more Charles Woodson than it is any other defensive player. And from that standpoint, I think that he's a bona fide candidate. Not just, hey, wouldn't it be great if Chase Young goes to New York? This guy could win the Heisman Trophy. And right now, in every Heisman voter that I talk to, and there are thousands of us, I understand that, but in every one that I talk to, he's in the top 2. That's important. And this is the stretch, and Joe Burrow is the second.
Ben Johnson, Carl Lewis, man. I don't know what's going to happen.
When you come out of nowhere like a Joe Burrow, I think that gives you a little edge, too. It's a greater story. Y'all can jump on it.
One of the things that's going to hurt Burrow, if you really get down to it, because then you're starting to, like, nitpick, right? Is that you could say, well, he wasn't this player without Joe Brady, the passing game coordinator who came from the Saints, right? So there was a coaching aspect, whereas Chase Young has been this player for 3 straight years.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.